Today I'm going to give you 5 ways to break Plex. It's a little counterintuitive, I know, but let's just break it. What's up YouTube, Jason here with Byte My Bits. You heard me right. I am going to give you 5 different ways that you could break Plex. And of course, some of these are going to be dependent on your hardware, so they might not apply to you. Like for example, if you had something like this that had a 10th gen i7 processor in it and it can handle like 30, 40 streams transcoded, then you're probably not gonna have a lot of problems. So if you had something like this is a Simply NUC home-based media server Extreme. This has a 2 terabyte SSD, has a 10th gen i7 processor in it with Intel graphics that can transcode more transcodes than you could ever want to transcode. The only reason why I bring this up is 1, it's way too powerful for its own good. I don't think anyone really needs this much power in their palm of their hands. And 2, I'm giving one of these away. So make sure to check out the links in the cards or in the description to enter to win. Seriously, it's probably too powerful for you, but that's okay. It's better to have more power than you need. Also, side note, yes, this is a Plex sponsored video, but this discount code has nothing to do with my channel, but they have a discount code right now. I think I'm gonna go with 20% off a Plex lifetime subscription, and the code is Media Geek. So I'll put that in the description down below once I verify it. I don't know how long that lasts, but I think it lasts for about a month. So if you are looking at a Plex Pass, make sure to use that code before you pay full retail for it. So 5 ways to break Plex. I'm gonna start from like the least effective to like the most effective. So number 1, AKA the least effective, is bad codec selection. Now to me, this means a wide variety of different things. It could be everything from bit rates that are way too high or just completely unnecessary, or running super old or just weird formats that no client's gonna be able to support. Give you a perfect example, .mov files. .mov files are supported by a lot of clients, but not all of them. And if you have a super high resolution, super high bit rate MOV file, you're pretty much gonna guarantee that whatever you're gonna play it on is probably gonna have to transcode it. And when you have a massive file like that, transcoding to possibly another massive file, this is a great way to bring your server to its knees. Now this is even relevant with old files too, like .avi. AVI files are poorly compressed, they don't work well on networks, so a lot of the times Plex will transcode them. And if you have these massive files, not only are you running into transcoding issues with your main Plex media server's capabilities, but you also could be running into hard drive limitations, because most people, unless you have something like this, way too powerful by the way, most people store all of their media on hard drives, not SSDs. And it's not necessarily the idea of like 1 or 2 files. I'm talking like 5, 6, 7, 8 different people trying to play these massive AVI or MOV files that are just way too big for their own good. Doesn't make sense, and your Plex server just crashes. Number 2. That's number 2. Connect your server via Wi-Fi. And I know what you're gonna say. Well, I connect to Wi-Fi, everything works great for me. You know what? This thing connected to Wi-Fi too in a lot of my tests, and it worked perfectly for me. But the difference is that this thing has a Wi-Fi 6 card in it. I have a pretty beefy Wi-Fi 6 router, so everything kind of played well for me. Especially because for the most part, I don't have a lot of power or bandwidth hungry devices on my Wi-Fi network. I primarily just have Internet of Things stuff connected to it and some iPhones. But if you find yourself connecting your main server, which is going to have a lot of requests, a lot of data being transferred, you're going to start to notice some serious lag, especially if you're connecting from outside your home. Don't ask me why, that's just a thing. The delay between the request to your server for all those little metadata points like poster arts, for example, movie descriptions, those thumbnails when you're like scrolling through and trying to, fast forward during a movie. All those little bits of information have to be requested from the server individually and then pulled to you. So having Wi-Fi, by the basic concept of how Wi-Fi works, you can notice some severe slowdowns. All the way up into the point to where your server becomes unresponsive if you have a bunch of stuff going on your network. And let's add like a little add-on to this, right? Firewalls. If you really want to break your Plex, especially for outside access, just lock your network down. Block all the ports. Don't allow UPnP. Just block it all down. No forwarding. Okay, I know you want to, but don't. No forwarding, just lock it all down. Guaranteed to screw over everybody that wants to access your Plex. Numero tres. Wait. Uno, dos, tres. Uno, dos, tres. Numero tres. Oh. If you have a small SSD, and again, this is all relative. It depends on your hardware, it depends on your library size. There's a lot of factors that go into play. But if you have a small SSD, let's say 120 gigs, maybe 250 gigs, whatever. If you have a small SSD compared to the size of your library, the easiest way to break your Plex is to enable thumbnails. I'm telling you, this is a magical way to break Plex because thumbnails are space hogs. It's amazing. They will eat up so much of your SSD space. You will just be flabbergasted by how fast your little 120 gigabyte SSD gets filled up. And then the best part about this is that once your Plex SSD, your metadata, has taken up all the space, then you start running into all kinds of just beautiful Plex problems, like not being able to add new movies, not being able to play current movies, not being able to see thumbnails, not being able to really access your server. I mean, the possibilities are endless whenever your SSD is completely full. So if you really want to break your Plex and just experience some of those creative crashes that Plex has to offer, enable thumbnails and have a small SSD. I'll give an example. I have a 500 gigabyte dedicated Plex SSD on my Unraid server. So far, I have used 300 gigabytes in just metadata, a majority of which thumbnails. El número, el cuatro. 4. Plex uses a database to sort and access different information. I mean, this is something that Plex is built on. A lot of things are built on this. So the best way to really screw up Plex is to pull the plug. I know that sounds weird and it sounds kind of obvious, but especially when you're doing something like optimizing your database or maybe adding more stuff to your library, generating thumbnails, stuff like that. If you pull the power on your Plex server and it powers down right in the middle of it, woo, you're at such high risk of corrupting your database. So if you're one of those people like, oh, I got a UPS, well, bypass that, okay? And next time you're really doing something with your Plex, just pull out that power cord, flip off that breaker, and then try to boot everything up and see if you get an error. I'm actually kind of curious, how long will it take? Like how many power pulls do you have to do while you're optimizing your database for it to completely corrupt it? I'm really curious. But once you corrupt your database, Plex is done. Most likely you're gonna have to delete and restart, unless, another little asterisk here, right? Disable all of your scheduled tasks that run backups on your database, right? Who needs backups? Backups are for chumps. I think if you disable all those, that way you don't have any backups, and then you pull the power a few times while it's doing something very important, this is a great way to break your Plex. If you've done this before and have had interesting results, make sure to tell me about it in the comments down below. And number 5, my most favorite, probably the worst thing you could do, I love this one, USB drives. USB drives are magical. You can plug it in, you can set the USB drive, you give it a letter, and then you point Plex to go to that USB drive, and then the USB drive gets disconnected for whatever reason. Whether it's a minor power fluctuation in the USB port that causes it to disconnect and reconnect moments later, or maybe you're moving your USB drive around, or your laptop is getting moved and you don't want to take your USB drive with you. Maybe you're rebooting your computer that has USB drives connected to it and it starts up with a different drive letter. Or better yet, this is like a really pristine way to break Plex. Plug in one of those USB multipliers. You know, I'm talking about the ones that plugs in and gives you like 10 USB ports, right? Those are great. If you have like 10 external USB hard drives plugged into your computer and you have them all running through, you know, some crappy USB splitter thing, that's just the best way. Especially if you have your sound on in the middle of the night, all you hear all night is do-do-do, 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 do-do-do. All the meanwhile, the drive letters are being changed, nothing can be accessed, your Plex is freaking the heck out, and you broke Plex. So that's creative, I like it. It's the best thing you could possibly do to break Plex, and I think you should try it right now. So guys, if you have any other really creative ways that you found to break Plex, make sure to leave those in the comments section down below. I love reading these stories, so if you have something good, definitely share it with me. As always, thank you for watching, like and subscribe below, and have yourself a great day.